Thank you for your waiting. Now we would like to start Breakout Session A, the first step towards work style reform. In the previous sessions, I think you've already gained a lot of information. In this session, we have a lot of time allocated for discussions. So if you have questions or opinions, feedback, you're welcome. We talk about work style reform, but I'm sure everyone's wondering what they can do on an individual basis. So this session's purpose is to give you some hints and tools to be able to implement work style reform. The AstraZeneca HR head, Mr. Matsutani, will be serving as a chair for this session. Thank you for your introduction. I'm from AstraZeneca, from HR division. I'm the head of HR of AstraZeneca. My name is Matsutani. Nice to meet you. Well, we've been talking about work style reform. Oh, I don't know what your thought about it is. We are all from different industries and different companies. We would like to just hear some case studies from different companies in trying to implement work style reform, which will serve as hints and tips for you. It looks like 80 to 85% of the attendants here are women, which means that more women are interested in work style reform, or is it just coincidence that we have more women than men? I'm not sure, but well, the government is leading work style reform. Work style itself has to be more flexible, and that will be the main focal point of this discussion now. I would like to introduce to you the three presenters for this session today in the order of presentation. You will hear from the three speakers in the order of introduction. First of all, from AIG, our neighbor in ground front. AIG Senior Executive Officer of HR, Mr. Fukutomi, will be the first presenter, followed by today, she's from Kobe, from Kawasaki Heavy Industry, the Deputy General Manager of HR of Kawasaki Heavy Industry, Ms. Imamura. And the last but least, from Japan, Eli Lilly Japan, from Employee Relations, Mr. Ryohei Inda is also going to share with us an example. So we will hear examples from the three presenters, and I will ask them questions. And after the three presenters' presentations are finished, we will allocate time for questions from the floor. So when you listen to presentation, please take notes so that you can remind yourself of the questions you wanted to ask during the presentation. Now, without further ado, I would like to hand over to Mr. Fukutomi. Good evening, everyone. I'm Fukutomi from AIG. I am from AIU Insurance Company, and I'm also in charge of Fuji Kasai Insurance Company. And these two companies are going to merge, so I'm in charge of HR department of both of the companies. Work style reform is one of the most important initiatives or tasks that our group has to implement. My slide does not really have any concrete information, so I'll just talk and then address your questions, and then through which I hope that you will understand our initiatives and work well. So these are our keywords, a number of them. We have options in life, events and options. When you are at work, private life, there are many events surrounding your life. The keyword is priority. What is your priority in your life? And that is the question that the company is asking to our employees. Some time ago, in the past, Well, people just assume that work is the biggest priority in life. But now it's changing. We are starting to feel that in life there are times when private life is more important than work. And sometimes it's better to reduce your work hours to do some other important things. And the value of work itself is more individualized. In my private life, I am married and we don't have children. Uh, we love traveling overseas. So I don't really separate work and life, work from life. When I plan for a year, I think of my priority for the year. And over the past few years, my priority always has been overseas traveling. And then I schedule my work based around that. For example, next year, during Golden Week holiday, we plan to have a holiday. And I've already spoken to my members of the team that I'm going to take a vacation during this period next year. Now, okay, so that's fixed in the schedule, and then I start working on my schedule based on the assumption that I will not be there. And in my private life, my father has cancer, and then he needs medical care. He is going a little bit senile, and my office is in Tokyo. My family and my parents live in Osaka, so on a monthly basis I come back to Osaka and then help my mother to look after my father. And then my wife's father has a pancreas cancer, and so he's going to hospital today. So I was not sure if I could come here today. But in any case, we have these things in our lives. So because of these events and changes, my work style has changed. Fortunately, wherever you go, whatever you do, the technologies are there, so you can work in a different way. When my father went to hospital and needed a surgical operation, I was working from hospital at that time. Yesterday, when I flew from Tokyo to Osaka here, so I'm officially on a day off, but my boss called me and said, "There's a really important meeting I want you to participate in." But now, over the past few years, because of the technologies and confidence that I gained, that you can work from anywhere. In the past, you had to be at work to work, but now it's not the case. You can work from anywhere. And what's happening at the company is that when there's need for nursing care or child rearing, well, but there's still employees who leave work, leave their job because of these difficulties of life. We want to reduce people who have to quit for these reasons. Companies need resources, and losing talented people really hurt for the company. So I think that's the biggest priority for a company. We want to retain people. Now, I have been in HR division for many years. There are government policies, and based on government policies, we create HR policies for the company. But if you think about it, there are many rules and institutions. They are not really practiced and executed. If we just look at our rules, they look just as good as other companies. Well, these are the things that any company has, these support tools, WeWes, and so on. There are many methods and tools and information institutions we provide to our employees. But in reality, how proactively these tools are accessed and utilized? Are you using these? Are you taking advantage of these systems and institutions? Well, so it's hard to say, but okay, the white it is represented, for example, child rearing and long vacation and short time working hours, and these are the systems and rules that are fully taken advantage of. But the darker ones are there as system but not utilized. So from an HR point of view, we often talk about mechanism, information system, rules, and institutions and so on. But if we just keep creating these roles, it's not going to really change the situation in reality. Now, so we have to change a mindset. Each and every employee has to change their mindset, especially managers and the middle managers. Their mindset must be changed. That's where we are at the moment. So, what is our approach? First, there's top-down approach, not just from HR, but including the top management of the company. We try to give some top-down approach. These are just keywords for our top-down approach. The culture transformation, and these are in big fonts. This is the most important keyword. That's why they are shown big. I said I'm in charge of 2 organizations now. AIU is a foreign affiliated company, and Fuji Kasai is a Japanese company. So they have totally different corporate culture. Work style are different too between the 2 organizations. Within our group, we have approximately 10,000 employees, and 30 to 40% are from Fuji Kasai. So that's a big portion of the total group employees. Well, what we do as top-down is, okay, so these are the messages, let's go home early, and then work return seminar, and then so these are just trendy things and we try to do for people. Then we create some council and so on, and we assign managers to run those sessions. This culture transformation, this is an initiative that HR initiated originally. We did it within HR, and then gradually we hand over the tasks to other departments. So gradually the business divisions are starting to take their own initiative to conduct a cultural transformation. At the bottom, we have engagement here on the slide. After cultural transformation, we want to improve and increase engagement so that business performance will also be positively affected. Top-down approach works very quickly, but it's hard to make it take root. So that's the challenge of top-down. Now, let's look at the bottom-up approach. And I feel that bottom-up led to greater success. So these are the keywords. At the top, there's employee resource group. This is a part of our global activities. Well, things like working family, yeah, and women and allies. We call them ERG. So basically what it means is that employees at their own will, like a volunteer group amongst employees. For example, well, employees who are interested in working family, they get together and try to come up with an event to change work style. And women and allies, again, this is a gathering of like-minded interested people, and then they plan and implement seminars and do best practice sharing and so on. So these are some of the bottom-up initiative. And this Women and Allies group has a member of more than 1,000 people. It started with only a few people, but a few members continued on with the initiatives, and with word-of-mouth communication, they have now more than 1,000 members participating in this. So bottom-up is very strong, and then when we connect bottom-up approach and top-down approach, things will be better. So that's what we try to do in HR, try to connect the two. Also, there is a labor union for AIU and a Fuji labor union. They are working together now to enhance the bottom-up approach. They are very much working well with the employees.
And then this is what is going to happen. This is our target this year. Best place to work. We call it best play in short. The concept is that the spontaneously driven employee can work actively and be happy with their family members. We want to be a best place to work. This happy is a kind of a keyword. And the left-hand side, this is a flower with the keywords. So we would like to deepen our effort in this field. And the most important thing is to create the company where the people doesn't have to be transferred in remote locations. Because many of the workers have to move around the nation detached from their families. We want to avoid that. Of course, it will take time, but this is the ultimate goal, one of the goals. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Fukutomi. A round of applause to him, please. Thank you. I have a couple of questions to him. And of course, there will be time for a question from you, the audience. The work style reform for AIG. How do you define the priority of the work style reform in your company? Okay, happy Friday. That system was introduced by the government, but they didn't take root. And you are involved in the work style reform. And how committed the company is in this. So what is the priority of doing this work style reform in the company? As a part of the company's the management policy, there are the things the company wants to achieve. And the work style reform is essential for driving all these operational goals. From HR to business, gradually they will be spreading. And every manager should be aware of the importance of the work style reform, otherwise the company cannot grow. I think this perception is already shared by the officers. The top-down works quickly, but it doesn't take root, you mentioned. And when this concept spread and change the mindset, what will be the big trigger to make it happen? With a Premium Friday, nobody takes days off or the afternoon off on Friday because it was forced upon. But how can you create the spontaneity to create the work style reform? This bottom-up effort is proceeding, but for example, the female managers' rate, is it increasing dramatically? No. Through the entire work style reform, there may be some barriers, and when we think about what these barriers are, and then there are the mindset that all of us have to work traditionally, or the child care is the task of mothers or females. This kind of traditional philosophy still is deeply seated. We have to wipe this kind of idea away. That is the shortcut. I mentioned about the best practice. We would like to make the new way of working as something as a matter of course, and then that is the sure way to go forward, I believe. Okay, in the interest of time, I would like to move on to the next presentation by Ms. Imamura from Kawasaki Heavy Industries. Good afternoon. I am Imamura from Kawasaki Heavy Industries. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. At Kawasaki Heavy Industries, we have a Kawasaki Work Style Innovation, in short, K-WIN. This is the scheme we are working on. We are still in the middle process of this journey, but how we started this and what are we doing actually, I will talk about that. Then I talk more about down-to-earth day-to-day activities. First, about my company, Kawasaki Heavy Industries, just briefly. The shipbuilding, the train building, and aerospace building, such as the parts for the Boeing and the motorcycle and the like. These are transportation machine business, and also the plant and engine for the vessels, engines for airplanes are also our products. So we are the machine manufacturer. And so the company handles a broad spectrum of the machines and business, and each unit is rather independent. We call them companies. They have their own factory, and each company has different culture. And the work style reform on this topic in our company. In 2010, the HR head office established the Diversity Promotion Office. This office took an initiative in work-life balance gradually. Before 2010, in HR, we worked to reduce the unnecessary overtime for the well-being of the employees. We had no overtime day of the week, and we encouraged employees to take the paid off. We had a specific name for these holidays, and at least 3 days a year, each employee has to plan where they take these 3-day offs. And then they shared that schedule in the workplace. This is a result of the accord with the union of the company. And as one example, if the workplace, there are many people who are working more than 35 hours as an overtime, or if there are several people who are working more than 60 hours as an overtime, and then the HR division will have the rigid follow-up of these workplace to make sure that in the next month the employee can leave the office earlier to prevent the perennial long working hours. In 2010, in HR, the Diversity Promotion Office was established, and from the female perspective, we also incorporated the effort to improve the work-life balance, and we introduced various mechanisms. And the work-life balance is a benefit for all of the employees. It is not just for a particular type of persons. the efficient working style is important. So we tried to percolate this idea among the officers. We invited outside lecturers to give the lecture to these officers. But up until 2015, we just called out the necessity of work-life balance, but this was not shared widely by the company. It was just an effort by our office. But the change happened in 2015. We had the lecture for the officers, as I said, and the current president, Mr. Kanehana, was interested in work-life balance and also the efficient work style. He started to have an interest in these topics. We have the 3-year mid-plan, and in 2016 through 2018 mid-term plan, as a HRD department, we are asked to take the initiative in improving the work-life balance. This is the instruction from the president. So we set up a project team, and then we took a deep dive in this scheme. At the early beginning of 2016, we discussed the background, why we need to improve the work-life balance. And we did a brainstorming from the social environment and the company's environment. The population is decreasing, the aging population is increasing, and the business environment is changing day by day. We have to be flexible enough to adapt to these changes. And the Kawasaki ROIC management became important as a part of the mid-term plan. The ROIC should be at least 8%, we set as a goal. The human resources and monetary investment and other resources, we make an investment. How effectively and efficiently we can utilize these investments to make money, to create profit. How efficient that will be measured by this ROIC. And the efficient way of working will also contribute to the improvement of ROIC. So these were the background of how we came up with the idea. We needed to change the way we work, and we need to broaden the horizon and improve the efficiency of the work, improve the productivity, and then we bring the happiness and enrichment of the employees' life so that the people will be motivated to work more. So this is a kind of the concept. And to achieve this, we came up with the vision. All the people should be able to exert their maximum capability to create the highly productive workplace. And based upon that, we had K-win activities. And the white-collar workers in a company will take up this Kawasaki work style innovation as a company-wide effort. This was decided in the first half of 2016. And we had 3 goals at the time. The work-life balance promotion. We want to do work and life well in both ways, and we want to create the maximized productivity, and by the white collars especially. And also, we needed to avoid the overtime work because that will impede the employee from reaching their maximum. So these 3 were our target. And we set a kind of KPI, like we conducted the mindset or the attitude survey of the employees, and we measured the output per hour, and also we try to reduce the workplace where many people work overtime. We did the cultural change and systems change, and also the business change. The president issued the message to the employees to change their culture. And at each workplace, we had the 4 reforms. because every business unit and every workplace should be involved in this, such as the appropriate allocation of the resources. And these are the things we are now working on. Then each business workplace will be involved in this with the leadership from the HR. And as for the institution, the system, we have the new appraisal method. To promote this activity, first of all, in the head office company, we established the promotion secretariat. HR head became the project owner and have the 3 teams according to the previous chart. And from this June, each company also established the promotion the office. And now the head office, HR, and each company's promotion office, and also each factory's promotion office are promoting this effort. More specifically, what kind of activities we were involved in is listed here. In 2016, from April, the project started, and for 6 months, we have done what I just mentioned.
And the results have been presented at the managerial meetings, and we've received feedback from the managers. And then we got approval from the managerial members, and then the president of a company sent a message to internally saying that we are going to start a reform, work style reform. And the company managers have to take a lead in making reforms. So we provided seminars for the managers starting from 2017. Apart from that, we conducted a survey of the employees. As ongoing projects, we have work efficiency improvement start books. We also implemented reform of the use of the email so that we can improve the efficiency of the work. And this was distributed company-wide through the company promotion office. Also, starting from 2017, we included the item of productivity as an evaluation item. So one of the evaluation items of the managers is whether they have been achieving high productivity in their teams. And each company has to have their own plan as to how to promote the reform. And Kanehana-san, when he was working for his previous company, he got an examples from that company and shared that best practices within the company. We also introduced patrol by the company executives for the no overtime day. And we also introduced many other measures. And going forward, we are finally, starting from 2017, we decided to introduce remote working system. And this can be done not only by the working mothers or working parents, but by all the employees who wish to work from home. We also set up a new website so that we can share progressive activities within the company. And as to the seminars for company executives, we will continue to provide seminars. And we also included the item of productivity for the evaluation of the company executives. And starting from 2018, we will introduce the same item of productivity for staff level employees. That's all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Work style reform. I think in your company it was like a top-down approach. So I think this was a very important company strategy. As to HR department, this was the highest priority project. President was very interested in work style reform. So at this year's general shareholders meeting, he says that the cash flow and there are 6 items that the president prioritized, and one of them was diversity and also the work style reform. So I think president places high priority in work style reform, but at the staff level, not sure if the priority is that high. Depending on the company, the situation may be different. Thank you very much for your honest opinion. So the culture that you have to change, it's difficult to change the corporate culture. But as Kawasaki heavy industry, what's the single most important thing that you want to change? It may be your personal opinion. I want to prioritize the long working hours. We want to reduce working hours. As a company culture, we tend to think working long hours is acceptable. If not, it's necessary. Especially engineers or those people who are involved in design of trains or airplanes. As long as they have time, they want to achieve something that they can be satisfied with. And that itself is okay as long as they have time. But nobody shouldn't force the same approach to other people. Their awareness about diversity is not that high, but they have to be aware that not every single person has time to work as long as they want. So they have to be mindful of other people's conditions or situations. So I want to change these long working hours. Or maybe those designers are producing the overspec things or overqualified things, and that may be increasing the cost. So I want to change that as well. The number of employees between overseas and Japan, what's the ratio? We have in total 35,000 employees. I don't have the specific numbers now, but it's about 10,000 overseas. And it's about 25,000 in Japan. It's difficult to change the mindset of that many people. So you have 10,000 people overseas. And I think they are working under very different conditions. Maybe they can have some influences in Japan. So far, we don't have any influence from outside or from overseas staff. Having said that, people who used to work in foreign countries, they know that the working conditions are very different overseas. And non-Japanese people, the local staff, often go home often leave office at 3:30. President Mr. Kanehara is very interested in work-life balance, and one of the reasons is that he has an experience of working in the United States for 15 years. So that's why he's interested. So it's been difficult for us, but those people who have experience in overseas offices, they may have good influences in Japanese offices in introducing the idea of diversity or taking work-life balance. Thank you very much. Now, last presentation from Eli Lilly, Mr. Ida. My name is Inda from Eli Lilly. I have 10 minutes for my presentation. Work style reform. I want to talk about the company policy. But before that, I would like to briefly introduce my company. This is a pharmaceutical company producing ethical products for cancer, osteoporosis, or diabetes, or other psychiatric products like antidepressant. We have about 3,000 staff in Japan, and we are headquartered in the US, and our sales force is about 2,000. And we have a headquarter in Japan, in Kobe, and 1,000 people are working in the headquarter. And today I would like to focus on white-collar staff because we want to change the work style in the headquarter. In a word, it's not that we are promoting the work-life balance just because the government is promoting the work-life balance. There may be no panacea, and it may be a long time-taking efforts. But what we want to do is we want to make our company more attractive, and that's why we want to promote work-life balance in our company. Many ideas have been presented as to work-life balance. Our company is a foreign-affiliated company, so our company is like a half and half of Japanese company and foreign companies. And some of our staff are from Japanese companies, and some of them are very conservative. And there are 30% of female managers in our headquarters. And many of the medical reps are very conservative, and they are very Japanese in terms of their culture. So we want to promote work-life balance. And this is the idea of why we want to promote work-life balance. Work-life balance is not just for the people who have limitations in their work time, like having children or having their elderly parents. But this is to solve long-term business goals. As shown here on the slide, decreasing birth rates, and because of the aging population, we want to attract more talents. We want to attract more creative talents within the company, and we want to create more value. So we need diversified talents. That's why we want to make our company more attractive. so that we can acquire more talents. And we want to create a company where those diversified talents can raise their voices and develop their careers. So that's our strategy. That way, we want to achieve our business target, and we want to create a situation where each individual can achieve their best. Now, let me talk about the direction that we want to pursue in the future. There may be some companies who've already implemented work reform, but it's not the case in a company. There are many diversified employees in a company, and there are many very Japanese style staff who want to work very long. So today I'd like to talk about 4 projects that we are implementing in our company.
First is about flexibility of work and the meetings. For example, if you tell people to go home early, oh, today is Premium Friday, so you have to go home. But people will say that, but I've got work. I mean, the volume of work hasn't changed, so I have to either take work home or still work here. Someone has to do the work. So what it means is if you just introduce an institutional rule, it's not going to change. The volume of work has to be looked at. So the first thing we want to address is meetings, reduce meetings. And then the other thing is that people have to take initiative. Everyone has to work towards the same goal, and also expectations of managers and expectations of employees have to be coordinated. Excuse me for this busy slide, but these are some of the concrete strategies and directions that we are thinking of. And in 2018, from the early 2018 to mid 2018, we are looking to introduce these new initiatives. So that's just a plan at the moment. Maybe these will still maybe updated, but this is a tentative plan. Well, I think you have probably spoken about working from home as well in today's other sessions, and also free address even within the company. Basically, you can work from anywhere within the premise. And then meetings, 2/3. What it means, this is just a straight copy of other companies. There's some other company who said like meetings half, make it half, and the half is too ambitious, so we want to reduce the meeting by 2/3. So this is just a guideline, simple, concrete, and specific. For example, you may have really huge meetings. Some days, senior managers, they are in meetings all day from morning to evening. Maybe we can just simplify some meetings. We can make some of the meetings simpler and shorter. So this is not really about reducing meetings per se, but really looking at what is truly needed to be done and then eliminate the waste. Well, some of you are probably good at planning each and every day of work, but within a company, when we do survey, within routine work, people are finding it difficult to prioritize things. So we heard about Google representative's presentation. We just have to make it a habit to be autonomous and independent in planning your own day. So it doesn't have to be like 3 o'clock, everyone has to stop, or at 8 p.m. we have to turn off the light. And that's not going to work. Each and every employee has to be independent in thinking what's best for them. And that will help company grow. And the other thing is consensus and fine-tuning. Well, when we have discussions, then sometimes we find some missing elements. So between managers and employees, you have to sort of like match their expectations with each other and find the gaps. Then what you want to achieve? Quality. We often have consensus about what's the deadline, what is the deliverable, but at the same time, you have to have consensus about the quality and the standard of work between bosses and staff. Okay, so I've used my 10 minutes. I'd like to finish now. Thank you. Okay, I have a few questions. I'm asking the same question to everyone, but when we talk about work style reform, how seriously is it looked at within the company? What's the position prioritization? Well, I think this is seen as top priority within a company. We have single-year objective every year for company, but they are longer-term objective like Plan 2020 sort of thing, and we call it D&I, diversity and inclusion. That's included within this midterm plan. Basically, this work style reform and our D&I are probably talking about the same thing. So in our case, D&I is top priority. And how is it understood by all employees? Yes, they are getting to understand that that's so important. Well, some people have very flexible ideas and they come out and speak of their opinions. So fortunately, we have quite proactive discussions and opinions expressed within a company. Oh, you said, okay, so you address meetings and you try to sort of like coordinate and fine-tune expectations. So you focused on these 4 items. And how did you narrow down to these vital 4 that you chose? Well, our methodology was that we have to address these issues from different angles, from all different angles. First, there has to be top-down angle from top management, and there needs to be bottom-up angle. So basically, it's employees becoming more independent in thinking what's best for them. And you need institution, you need tools, you need these aspects as well. And especially IT technologies and tools will be one of the keys to enable this. And the culture aspect, because this is going to be a longer-term initiative, it has to, well, we need a more corporate culture sort of angle so that it can affect the whole organization. As a result, we narrowed down to these 4 key areas. Well, people are working more independently and autonomously, and also breaching gaps of expectations. And these are, I think, very difficult to monitor by setting numerical KPIs. And how are you going to monitor the achievement of these? Well, you can teach me how to do it. Yes, it's difficult. On a quarterly basis, we have management level committees. And yes, we know that we have to monitor this progress. And one of the KPIs we are thinking of is employee voice. So we do conduct employee survey. There are 3 things. So first of all, we ask individual employees. We ask them, one question is, have your mindset changed about work style? And also coaching, is it improving? And because this is a matter of awareness, in terms of a goal, within a specific frame of time, we have to produce performance or deliverable. So it's more like performance-based measurement. Do you fully agree with this? And do you think that's being done in a company? So these are 3 questions we'll be asking in survey. Well, I understand, but I think these will be all subjective. The answers will be really subjective. Sorry, yes, that's subjective. And in terms of more numerical measurement, number of overtime working hours, and also paid holiday utilization, and then when people leave home. So that's when in a dashboard, that's more numerical, and at the same time subjective feedback from the employees. Management will look at both. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the three presenters for presenting us with your various initiatives and approaches to the same goal. I think people in the floor have questions too. Anyone who has a question, please raise your hand and state your name. And if you want to specify a direct question to a certain speaker, that's fine, or you can. I'm from Panasonic. I'm Samei. I'm in charge of diversity promotion. I have a question to Ms. Imamura of Kawasaki Heavy Industry. I have two questions. Well, we are a global company, but we are at the same time very traditional Japanese manufacturing company. So I think our companies have a lot in common. Well, you said that you're going to evaluate work productivity and time productivity. How do you practically do that? And then you're saying that these are mostly white-collar initiatives. I don't know if blue-collar is the good term to use here, but we are both manufacturers, so on a day-to-day business, they have to do like quality monitoring work and then just working in plant. And how are you going to implement these initiatives for those people, plant operators and so on? First, okay, the indicators and evaluation assessment items. Well, we don't have really detailed system or anything. For example, our management, when we evaluate the management level employees, traditionally we look at their contribution to their business performance and result. That's 50%. And also talent development and helping people grow, and also expertise, that's 25%. And then the rest is whether or not these managers are executing according to the mission statement. That's 25%. So there are the three major areas for personnel appraisal for managers. We added productivity improvement to this. So 40% for objective and goal achievement, and then staff development, management and personal development and expertise, that's 20%, mission statement 20%, and then productivity improvement. We just added this productivity category. So that's very simple. So when people are appraised, well, they just look at whether they have done something to make things more efficient. And so out of the full score of 20, people can evaluate how good they were in improving productivity or efficiency. The other, your question about productivity improvement measures for blue-collar workers. Well, I guess for blue-collar type of work, well, Japanese manufacturers have been very good at maximizing productivity for manufacturing. So for blue-collar workers, I think it's a matter of encouraging them to be able to access to things like child rearing holidays and so on. So those are the areas that we are going to focus on as HR. Make it easier for them to access these systems, things like just-in-time, or the manufacturing system. Japanese manufacturers really have done everything to make it as efficient as possible at the factory level. But white collar is not the same. They haven't done it. Sorry to talk about my own situation, but So white-collar people, when they work less overtime, they feel that, oh, we get paid less because of reduced overtime, and I want money to be compensated. And then some companies may say just, okay, we'll give you just unilateral compensation. And in that company, what we do is, okay, so your overtime pay will be reduced. So instead, if you do this and this, you will get extra bonus. But for factory workers, manufacturing operators, well, from our point of view in HL, I mean, they are really every day improving productivity. We don't pay them for increased productivity at plant. So white-collar people's awareness is, it was shocking that they only look at efficiency in terms of how much money they get, like overtime pay and so on. Okay, next question. I'm a sales manager of MSD. I've been at the same company for more than 20 years, and half the time I was at head office and other times I'm in sales. So when we hear about work style reform, I can imagine what kind of things are done at head office level. But people like us, sales representatives, we have customers, clients. We are living in a whole different world. The majority of the workers of many companies are sales representatives. So head office people can talk about work style reform, but we have our clients to serve. That's reality. But when we promote work style reform, it has to include everyone. So I try to use paid holiday or try to work from home, but it's very difficult to promote the same practice within the sales team. So I'd like to ask you, what sort of initiatives do you have to promote work style reform for the sales representatives and sales team as best practice? Well, I understand that you have been implementing, trying to do a lot, but do you have any idea? Well, we would like to learn from other examples too. We often say that, okay, email should stop at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m., 9 p.m., I can't remember, but close physically the sales offices. Well, we do those too. But personally, my honest opinion, well, yes, work style reform for sales team, I think that's really the key for pharmaceutical companies like that. It's easy for white collars. Long work, long hours. That's the key. Doctors, our clients say, you can come and meet me at 10 p.m. because my operation finishes. So during the day, they don't have a lot to do, but they have to go and meet customers at night. Well, MSD, AstraZeneca, we're working with them. And our clients are also working to promote work style reform. There are more and more women doctors as well. So we promote the message clearly to our clients to say that we are trying to implement work style reform as a company, so we can not send our people at midnight. So that's really, we have to change work style, including customers and clients as well. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to recruit sales representatives. And I'm sure many of you are belonging to the sales team. And then in the current situation, you feel that you don't want to be a manager. So sometimes at a company, we want to promote someone, but people don't want to be manager because their life is going to be difficult. We have to change. So that's where we have to work on the most. We have to create a more fair environment for everyone.
From the pharmaceutical industry, the key is to create a lot of female managers, because men can excuse they have a lot of things they have to do in the workplace. They will excuse this way. But the female manager having the children, they have to leave the office to pick up their kids at daycare center, and then that is a must. And from that, they allocate the time, so they are compelled to work efficiently. By going through this, they really understand the importance of the time management. And say, visiting the wholesale in the morning, how significant is it? You may revisit that with a new question. And then, so the importance of diversity resides there. So, how to increase the female manager in the sales organizations, that may be one of the ways to solve these difficult problems. That is what I talk as the head of the HR. Now, we don't have much time left, but still we can entertain 2 or 3 more questions, I hope. Any other questions? Go ahead. Ishigami, operation from AstraZeneca. Thank you for a wonderful talk. With respect to bottom-up activities, what do you do in the company? Starting from AIU, Mr. Fukutomi, you do employee resource group with more than 1,000 members. Why did that group grow that big? And also to Kawasaki's Ms. Imamura and Mr. Inda of Eli Lilly, what kind of bottom-up activities do you do, or does your company do? Okay, in ERG, biggest group is Women and Allies to support the female activities. And one woman who started this initiative was a strong leadership woman. That is big. And if you can share the similar problems with your colleagues, and then by exchanging opinions, they can understand how they can overcome that. And that kind of chatting and conversation was the start of the success, and this is spread by word of mouth. And then once there is a momentum, and then the people really wanted to join in. And these women and allies is also, in addition to that, LGBT or the caring parents or the race or the group to speak English. There are many other organizations like this. It is not just about women. When the people share the problems and interest, and then that will create a power. And that started from women and allies, and that spread to other areas. And this helped creating a culture in an organization. So does company offer support to ERG? Budget-wise, almost zero. 100,000 yen or so. Other than that, the people are arranging their schedule to meet up. And once a year, there is a global meeting opportunities. This is a kind of opportunity. I don't know whether that is a motivating factor or not, but we acknowledge their activities. That might help them. The next. Speaking of the bottom-up and diversity, in our organization, female managers and female workers are few in numbers. And in 2012, we established the networking opportunity for females. We invited outside lecturers to have a forum. And also from each company, the female representative, the assistant manager level, were convened and asked several questions what companies should do to encourage the female. And then they come up with a proposal to have a training course for women. And on the networking, the non-Japanese employees, there are not so many in my organization, unlike yours. So we encouraged them to get together to have an opinion exchange session with the company. And in terms of the work style reform, at each company, there is a promotion office which is going to be involved in the bottom-up activities. And one thing that has already been done, it is the transportation machine unit, the manager class. The people are convened to have a kind of a camp, and they had a discussion how to bring about the reform, and we made them to have some declaration, and every 3 months the HR and the outside consultant company helped us to follow them up so that this effort will be a continuous one. And this, I hope, will spread company-wide. In my organization, this is also part of diversity. But as a part of the work style reform, we have a diversity day annually. This is a festival event. President has a presentation, and there are lots of other fun facts. And each the district office has one day to focus on the work style reform, not only by female but also the male and the managers to discuss how they can improve the work environment. And what, in the future, I think different companies have different activities, creating the poems about the work style reform. I hope that there will be the sense of fun in activities and that they can feel the ownership of this topic. The work style reform is not just for the female or not just for the young people or not just for the hiring of the new people. Every employee should be able to find some good points about work style reform. There are different needs from the different stage of lives. When we look at it more, we could come up with some better idea, and then we would like to look at that even more in the future. We don't have much time left, so if there is one last burning question, go ahead. I started a small diversity office myself, and I have a question to Lily. Changing the organization, the yardstick is difficult to find. Then you may have a KPI, and the company conduct the attitude survey. And there are top-down activity and bottom-up activities. So the next step, the responsibility and roles of the middle manager is also important. And you conduct the surveys and you see the KPI. Changing the organization voluntarily is difficult. So how is the result of the survey or the KPI connected to, for example, the compensation or the appraisals to the managers? Maybe this is not about the top of the management, but the manager class, middle managers and assistant managers, their level of commitment is very important. They have to own this task. And the evaluation and appraisal, yes, we hope to do that, but it is extremely difficult to practice. And this is the thing we want to do in the future. And the level of expectation should be set. This is the criteria for the promotion. This is the criteria for the increased bonus. The managers and the employees' appraisal axes have to be separate. The manager class appraisal is very important. Did you improve the efficiency? But it has to be written more specifically. In your department or in your reporting to the managers, did you improve the efficiency? That has to be a part of the appraisal. I think this is a direct way because that's what company hopes for from them. So we hope that that will be a part of the appraisal system, but we haven't done anything specific so far. Thank you very much. Now, this is the time to close. The time was very limited, but I hope that this discussion was full of new ideas and very productive. What do you think? Now, this company have started this effort. The next question is how to continue, how to sustain that, and how can we measure the success? And the company which would like to start this effort, you can pick up some of our ideas to start. And who will be leading that? Who will be a champion of this? And how to evaluate the achievement? I hope that you learned something about these things. Thank you very much for your precious input, the three speakers. Of course, this didn't cover everything, so the reception will be after this. You can grab these three people and throw questions directly at them. Now, thank you very much for the three speakers, and also thank you very much for your active participation to the audience. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to conclude the breakout session A. Thank you for your contribution.